YouTube, how the ducky doing? Duck Films here. Today we're going to be doing something a little bit different. We're going to be doing something called Pro View. Basically, we're going to be going in and watching a night shift match, analyzing it, and talking about everything they're doing. What items, what they're looking to do, how they're rotating around the map, what they're doing with their certain positions and characters, and everything else. So if you like this type of content, want to see more, definitely consider subscribing to the channel, definitely consider liking the video, and of course becoming a YouTube member if you want to help support the show. But anyways, let's dive straight in. So when we look at the draft, there's a couple things to know. It's very odd that they're first picking Celeste. I think first picking Celeste is just a bad thing because yes, the character is strong in MM, but in competitive play right now, in higher elo play, the character can be shut down extremely easy. Instead, you would want to be taking something else in the first pick, something a little bit more viable. The fact that Lash was a second ban and not like a prile for like the position 1 character here is kind of crazy to me. I guess they went with the Sinclair pick, thinking that they would go for a pick like this. The Sinclair doesn't get too much value in this regard. I guess the Celeste ball, and that's really about it. Venator, if he's building gun Sinclair, and nothing too special from there. Let's actually go ahead and look at the match, see what you're doing it. We can see the lane matchups right now. You can see that we have Paradox, of course, paired with the Celeste. So you have your roamer, and then you have the person wanting to stay into the lane. Mid lane, it's the same idea. You have Venator plus a Bebop. You have your Anchor, which is your Venator, your Bebop that wants to roam. And then on the right side, you have your Apollo that will probably stick to the lane, and then you'll have your Calico roaming relatively early around the map so that she can get a whole bunch of impact. You can see that we have our Apollo going extra spirit for a little bit more burst in lane, especially because he's playing against a Warden and a Rem, so you're trying to burst as much as you can. We have Celeste going typical egg right now. That's kind of like what the meta is for Celeste. You can see Resto Shot instead of going for like extra spirit or extra charge, which is rather interesting to me. I guess it's trying to go for a little bit more sustain against the Bebop and of course the Venator, which is fine. The Infernus is actually going extra spirit, which is interesting to me. Typically, you would go like headshot booster. You can see what he has queued up. He's going to be going great into extra regen. So he's going for like full sustain, so full greens, which is fine. Rem doesn't have anything queued. I like this because if you go in and actually press B, you can see what they have anything queued up. This guy has everything queued up. I'm not a fan of queuing a ton of items because there's a lot of things that can change throughout the match. But you can see sort of the gist of, or the idea of what they're trying to build. You can see going extra spirit into extra regen into this straight burst, and then we have a slowing hex. You could opt for an earlier heal bane, especially if you're in a big sustain lane, like you're against a Rem. So going for like a earlier heal bane might be a little bit better, but we're going a early slowing hex for the Rem, so you can't tag along, which is nice. You can see the Calico going, typical melee lifesteal, nothing too big. But I'm very curious to why they put Doorman and Sinclair together. Sinclair, notoriously not a really good wave clearer unless you have all of your abilities ready to go. Doorman's pretty good. That's a beautiful hook. Doorman's pretty good at clearing waves, but it's not as good. Again, we're just going egg. So essentially, because we're going egg, we're just sacrificing the lane. We're just playing for the egg, so we're going to play super passively and just try to survive in lane for as long as possible. If that is the way you're playing the game, you can't play overly aggressive because you don't have your damage items or sustain items to stay alive. You can see we have opening rounds on two players right now, and we're probably going to get another opening rounds, probably another opening. Opening is still a very good item. Bullet velocity, weapon damage, spirit power, it's all really good. Again, I'm surprised that he's leaning not a single gun item on my Infernus. Not going for a headshot booster or anything like that. Or a little bit more sustain. Nice poke damage from the Apollo. He's just throwing light melees because I guess the Warden doesn't want to go for a parry. This is what I mean, like, their wave is permanently getting shoved in, the Dorman and the Sinclair, because they don't have that much lane pressure. Like, he has to wait for bolts to come back around and his assistant to be able to do anything around the map. I'm actually surprised he got away with that light melee. This Paradox is playing extremely greedy by staying. Yeah. She's dead because she didn't leave the AoE of the Abrams suck, which is kind of surprising in that regard. We're getting a tower. I mean, the wave is so shoved. We have Omega Prile for buff. Our Furnace is going to be rotating already, but we can see that we don't have the other side of the map Prio, and we're actually dying on Apollo, which is kind of surprising in that regard. Furnace got movement, which is pretty good. I believe Bebop got the other one, which is survival, which is pretty max win for the character right now. They are getting ran down right now. They are down 22%, which is pretty big. And something in a higher elo is they do a lot of chasing. Whether it's completely worth it is up for debate. Because although he got the solo kill, like, he's still dead. And basically, when you die, you give souls. It's a split 3 ways that kill, but because Together got the kill, he gets the first blood bonus or whatever, so he gets a little bit of extra money. But generally speaking, I mean, trading that is fine. And it seems like we're just starting to snowball on the Archmother team, which is pretty massive. Because we already have Heal Bane, we already have Stalker, we have some big ticket items for certain characters. And basically, the Doorman is just going to allow a ton of pressure around the map. Also, the right side of the team, they are extremely tanky. Generally speaking, we're playing Green Furnace, which is like the DAS. We have an Abrams, we have a Warden, and we have a Rim. So pretty much we shouldn't be dying on the right side. Again, we're playing Sinclair, but we're going assistant build, so we're going to be going a little bit more gun-oriented, just a little bit. But it's very curious because we can't really copy that many ults. Yes, Celeste is a good copy. Apollo's a good copy. Venator can be a good copy, but it's generally not the most ideal scenario. We're actually going to be looking at the Apollo. Looks like Abrams might have got swapped. No, he didn't actually. I think a big thing to keep in mind too is in the higher elo lobbies, you're typically not buying Trophy Collector because at that point you would want to buy like Resto Locker or something else, a better 1600 green in that regard. So you don't typically want to lean towards that item because you're essentially just giving up damage or giving up sustain to buy that item. Buying this item essentially is forcing you to go fight permanently. And while this is a death ball meta, and fighting is nice, you don't always want to buy it. Ooh, you missed our slam. It just mainly sees like a snowball from the right side right now. It's just, we're picking Celeste, and we're going Egg, so this character is not useful till 20 minutes. So essentially, the idea behind the right side comp is to just win the game early. I mean, but that being said, you still have some really decent late game carries. You have a Warden, you have an Infernus that could be debatable if he's a super late game carry. He's more or less annoying, but again, it's just that idea of the potential late game. Whereas on the left side, for your late game, you only really have a Venator Celeste. Everything else is just trying to funnel everything to those two characters. So it's really hard to get a ton of value. Like I said, like the left team needs to roam and fight. But you have a Celeste, a nerfed, in quotations, nerfed Celeste that scales a lot harder later in the game, but is objectively weaker in the earlier stages of the game. So they're not going to be a character until they pop an egg and get their actual, proper items. We're also getting an 8-minute cultist, so it's a little bit slow from Arzo, but it's no big deal. It's just you have so much pressure now because, like I said, the right side is starting to snowball a little too hard for them to actually really do anything at this point. And because they're so much further ahead, like they're gonna be able to capitalize Archmother side on just running into the enemy's jungle 24/7. I'm surprised he cultists the small creep, but that's besides the point. And you can see we have the slowing, the slowing hex pickup for the Paradox because we have a Rem. We have an Invertus, we have an Abrams, we have an Sinclair. Those two don't really matter. We actually have 2 slowing hexes already picked up, so they're really just trying to punish the Rem and punish the movement characters and punish the Sinclair as well. You can see we had them set up for buffs, getting a ton of left side priority, being able to maintain that. And yeah, a big thing to note is this was kind of a misplay by Sanya, I would say. You could have noticed that our entire team, our blue team, was all on the left side of the map. They instantly lost buff on this side, and our warden was on the right side of the map by themselves. They should have instinctively known that they're gonna rotate for the buff and aggress on me. So realistically, the warden should just give the guardian and just go towards Walker and farm the back camps, because it's honestly not worth dying for a guardian in my regard. Because when you die, you're respawning, and when you're at that respawn timer, you're losing the potential to farm around the map. Because he was dead for what, 10, 11 seconds? That could have been 10 seconds getting a tier 2 camp or something, or getting some boxes and living, and getting lane pressure back after they shove it and grab your guardian. It's just like really the little small things that you start to notice as you play the game a lot more. You can see how aggressive the Doorman is playing because of Doorman's so strong. Cracking Veilwalker, and he's probably going to be hunting. You can see a big fight on the left side of the map. Again, we still don't have our egg popped. We're still funneling money to the Celeste and the Ven, so it's really not optimal to be taking fights, mainly due to the fact that there's just going to be so much pressure on our team, or on the left side team, the Hidden King side, because we are down 2 players essentially. Our vendor and Celeste need a ton of farm. If my vendor doesn't have ult, he's never going to be in a fight. If my Celeste doesn't have ult, he's never going to be in a fight either. It's a really good hook, actually, from the Bebop. Drum's dead. Really good hook and really good ball. But again, it's the small things. It's the Calico. We have a Calico Apollo, and these are snowball characters, meaning you need to get strong early to maintain that strength throughout the entire game. Because they're so far behind, at least the Calico, it's going to be really hard for her to get on, online. She does have the advantage in the Rem tunnels, because Rem arguably can't really do anything, but who knows? He could misplay and die to the Rem. But generally speaking, you have that small advantage from there, but it's so much better in that regard. You can see it is first turn, so they are going to be taking the Rift fight. There isn't a ton of resistances because it is the first Rift. They are down numbers, so they can easily just contest this and get it. And you can see, because we're so much further ahead on the right side, we're just using that advantage to pretty much take everything we can while maintaining pressure around. And you can see we are backing up on the one side of the map because it is Comeback Rift. Even if you are so significantly ahead, it's better just to give the fight, or give, give the Rift, so that you can have pressure on the other lanes. It's kind of crazy that our Paradox right now is running down the lane here, because we're still hovering too. We also see the Celeste map. But generally speaking, pretty much every single time, You will never be able to get a walker after first rift, generally speaking. It's mainly due to the fact that the respawn timers are so low in comparison to like a 20-minute walker, or sorry, a 20-minute rift where the timers actually matter. Because, you know, you win the fight here, you start pushing the walker. Everybody that died from that fight are going to be respawning, coming back, and just coming to this walker and clearing the wave. The walker will get resistances, so just grabbing the rift, letting it shove to tower, and generating you all this lane pressure is really ideal. When you're generating all this lane pressure from the rift minions, if they're just clearing it on the walker, you can just grab the tier 2s, grab the tier 1, tier 3, and just work down the map. Going for the walker straight up is really like a desperation play. And because they were showing 2-1 walker, I don't even know why the two decided to push this, because they died. And again, time is money. When they're dead, they're not farming. When they're not farming, they're not scaling, meaning they're just getting weaker in comparison to the right side of their team. But we can see the Celeste is starting to catch up on farm. The vendor is also catching up on farm. You can see everything that's happening. We popped our egg. What did we even pop our egg for? I guess a full Radiant. Maybe Healing Booster. Which I guess is fine. Very interesting, though. Going to Toxic Bullets. We did get our Swift Striker, but I'm surprised he got it so much later on and not earlier. We can see that we're really starting to try to roam now. I'm not sure why they cleared the same Veil together. They are hunting the Sinclair. And you can see once the Sinclair is popped, we already see our Doorman start to rotate around because he has, max door already. And you can see we are looking for a pick on the carry. So the carry in this regard is Venator. Going for the Ven is very important because Venator or your P1, your P2 characters are going to be having the most farm in the game. So if you're able to deny the AFK farm, they can't scale. When they can't scale, they're not going to be a optimal carry towards the late game. But in the same regard, we have our Infernus and we have our Warden. It's surprising that we're getting jumped on Infernus, we're dying as Warden, so this is very bad timers. You can see we're on a 45 second timer. This could potentially be a mid-angle. But because we still have Guardians on the side of the map, this wave, or this side of the map, is always going to be shoving into this walker, meaning that the Archmother side is always going to have priority on this wave. But because we have the mid Guardian, or the mid walker, you can't really do mid, because their wave is always going to be crashing into the Hidden King's side, which is the left side. And because of that, you can't really do mid, because they have fast sipped back to mid. So these are like the small things you have to understand. So again, I'm surprised that my Infernus and my Rem as well as my Warden are getting jumped, because that just shouldn't be a thing. And my Warden has Veil Walker, which is rather interesting. I mean, to be fair, like Veil Walker, you see, a lot of people start to buy Veil Walker now because the item is so inflated. You get +2 move sprint speed, you get +2 out of combat regen, which is really good. You get plus 125 bonus health, you get +10 spirit, and each time you go through a veil and it procs, you gain a ton of HP back, which is really good. Getting a reset. We're definitely going to be needing some more greens on our Abrams, because they do, like, in theory, they do have a lot of damage. We get a pick on the Apollo, meaning that we can easily just take mid. Do they have max swap? No, they use swapped, so they're paying attention to what ults they use. They don't have Celeste ult, so it's just going to be raw damage they're trying to, do. And you can see the stack of bells to nuke somebody, essentially. So, I mean, they won mid because you know, they have the ability to do that with all their ults and all the map pressure they have. Even though the Celeste is super far ahead in farm, it doesn't really matter in that regard because she isn't necessarily a major carry yet. She still needs certain items to be able to do it. Generally speaking, though, like Celeste in mid that's strong is relatively scary, but you just have so many win condition factors on the Archmother side, the right side. You have Max Infernus ult, not Max Infernus. You have Max Abrams ult. You have Infernus ult. You had Rem sleep. You have Bunny. You have Doorman. You just have so many factors that their mid contest on the right side is just so strong. And they're actually kind of contesting this. They're actually contesting this rift, which I'm not a big fan of. It's mainly to the fact that, yes, they have Rejuve, but you have certain characters that aren't alive yet. Like your Celeste is just now getting to the fight. Which, yeah, she could help and win the fight all of a sudden just do like a 1v6. But they have one Rejuve, so they have one mistake on the right side. Whereas all the odds are stacked against the left side of the team, right? So, yeah, you might be getting a pick here and there, but it's just... You're going to be losing a lot more than you're gaining at this point. Because with all the picks, you have so much map pressure now gone and lost. They got the rift. This character just never dies because it's Celeste. But what do you just... I mean, she does die because of burn. But you just see, when you look at the map and look at everything, you lost rift, so automatically a billion lane pressure goes in. Then look at all this jungle. So you're losing all the time on respawns. You're losing the jungle, so you're just doubling the amount of souls you're losing. So it's generally just not a good idea to fight this. Especially because my Celeste was just leaving spawn by the time the fight was over. And even if it's like, 35 or 15% resist, whatever it is, on the side of the map, going for it at that point when you're down one is just not worth it. Now, because Hidden King is so far behind, they're essentially looking for one mistake from the Archmother side. They're looking for one pick, one small mistake to capitalize on. Because any death from the Archmother side is going to be a really long timer. But we actually die looking for that pick. This is where it kind of matters. We're looking for the one pick to turn the game. But if you overcommit a little too much, you can get easily punished for it. This setting you back even further, which is relatively scary. Like I said, a super ambitious play, but we just didn't have the map vision to be going for that type of play yet. We understood that the Abrams was there, but we're not reading like what he has, right? Because Warpstone plus Resto Locket will be extremely hard to catch. I mean, we have two slowing hexes realistically, but it's just really hard to capture anything like that. We do get a Phantom Strike. The Phantom Strike is mainly for the Celeste. I mean, I guess you could also grab it for if the Gun Bebop ever ults, but realistically he won't ever ult. It's mainly for the Celeste. And you can see we're kind of doing like a 4-1 split or a 1-1-4. And what I mean by that is you have one person in one lane, one person in the other, and then you have 4 hunting. So you have 4 people deathballing. And the deathball for the Archmother side is relatively good because you have an Abrams, a Ram, a Doorman, and a Sinclair. You have a pick character, Doorman, who can also provide a team-wide teleport for your entire team. You have a really decent engage. On top of that, you have a Sinclair that pretty much has everything in the kit to capitalize on. And then you have a Ram to basically maintain your HP, make sure you have all the utility you so desperately need and everything like that. But you can see how easily Celeste is shut down just by buying one item, that being Phantom Strike or even a knockdown. Probably the Rem or the Sinclair has that. On top of that, maybe even the Doorman. But you can see like the best ways to shut down this specific character is Phantom Strike, is knockdown. You can also throw a Decay in there as well. Ooh. he dies. Do you have Tagalon? No, he didn't. But you could just see how much map pressure is created by certain characters and how I guess, ineffective or not efficient the left side of the team or the left side comp was playing on the heading game. We have snowball characters, right? We have snowball characters that are not snowballing. We have a Calico, not rich, which is relatively bad. We have an Apollo, not rich. These characters need to get strong early to maintain the strength into the late game. And if you're not able to do that, you'll never scale properly back into the game. But it's going to be the same case for the hitting king side. They're still going to be hunting for that one small pick. Hopefully, probably on the Warden or the Infernus, because they are the the most wealthy on their team, so they're going to have the longest respawn timers. We can see we're going for buffs, which is the most ideal. We actually pull a Sinclair Bunny out and actually steal the buff from the other side. So are we having counter spells? We have 2 counter spells into a Sinclair. I mean, I guess they're going with the assumption that Apollo has a built-in counterspell. Celeste shouldn't be getting hit by the bunnies because she's so agile. And we're looking that hopefully the Paradox shouldn't get hit by it either because she has Veil and she's relatively fast. Same idea with Calico. But ideally speaking, you're playing into a Sinclair, you're playing into an Infernus, you're playing into a Doorman, playing into a Rem, playing into an Abrams. You should probably have Counterspell. Although they're probably so poor that they can't really afford that as an option. So that is, some small things to look at. So basically, we're looking for a pick for either side. This pick determines mid-boss. Ideally speaking, Archmother has the highest chance of winning any single team fight because you see we just run down one person, bunny them, and chops them, we get mid-boss. Getting a pick on the Bebop is really good because they lost the pick. They're not able to get a pick onto the Archmother side now from the Hidden King. They should relatively be going for mid. I mean, I would just finish mid if I were them. Because the longer you stall, the worse it's going to be. They got the ball out from Celeste. Who has the ball? Anybody have the ball? The ball actually got DB'd. No? Okay. Yeah, about 3 juice. We lost 1 because of unstop. We're just winning the fight. Like, people like to say that we're actually losing shrines. This is probably the best course of action right now. Should pull a Peppa Pin. So right now, this is the best course of action. Getting a shrine. We have all these rift minions in the map. So they have no lane prowl. Yes, he dies, but the big thing is they also lost their shrine. So you lost the enhanced troopers for this side of the map. We also have a walker still. So we're going to always have lane prowl on this side of the map until they clear this the right side, which is pretty big. I mean, that's the best possible thing you can do in that situation is try to get sneak a shrine. So when we look at the builds, I actually want to look at the builds. So builds, traditional Doorman build, the Veil Walker, super strong item. We have Recharging Rush, we have Mystic Shot, and opening rounds to help proc the Recharging Rush to maximize our builds. We have Spirit Burn, we have Warp Stone. You can see Warp Stone is starting to become another big commodity again. I think Warp Stone, especially into these characters, is relatively good. We have a Phantom Strike on Abrams, mainly for Celeste. That's typically what you buy it for. Furnace, pretty straightforward, pretty standard. We're actually on our Sinclair. We're going Outfire for Shred. We have our Cultist to farm more. We have Veilwalker. Rem, we have our DB. Again, we're trying to DB the cleanses of any sort of crowd control effect. So like a swap, a stun from shotgun or the riposte. And you can see we're just kind of walking into the enemy space now because we have such a lead. Our Celeste is super rich, but her impact was pretty much zero, to be honest. What we're doing right now on the Celeste is relatively good. We're cutting the wave so that our patron will actually be defended. It'll be protected and the enemies can't damage it. So she's cutting the wave and trying to stall a little bit more time. Because when the enemies have rejuve, your whole job is to try to stall and try to waste as much time as you can from the rejuve. But I'll be honest, it felt like the Celeste didn't do too much this game. And there wasn't a whole lot of moving around on the map from the left side because it just seemed like the game was lost relatively early on because they let the scalers, get so far ahead. But anyways, hopefully this video has helped in any way, shape, or form. Just a little bit of a pro view in a way of a little bit of a breakdown. But when we actually go ahead and look at the statistics page, right? You can see we have 40k healing on Rem, 32 assists, 47k damage on the Warden. And we can see that, yeah, I mean, like 37k on Celeste, but she just got shut down. And she was never in any fights because she's always just farming and rotating around the map. You're also sacrificing the early game with this specific character, especially because she's buying egg. So you need more characters to carry. Your Celeste and your Venator can't carry solo-handedly. I think the laning phase was really bad because they have a lot of lane winners on the Archmother side. You have a Doorman who has a ton of pressure. You have a Warden with a Rem. You have a Sinclair and a Doorman. And then you have Infernus Abrams. Really solid laning. And a super high health pool. So getting anti-heal was the most ideal on the Hidden King side. We had Siphon, which is good. We have Spirit Burn. We have Crippling. On the Kali, we actually don't have a heal ban. We do have Mystic Vuln, which is okay. We have heal ban on this list. I mean, we have some anti-heal. We also have some more Spirit Shred, but nothing crazy. I think mostly it was the snowballing team got counter snowballed and they just kind of ran away with it. Even when we look at the graphs, I mean, like, look at souls per minute. Like, yeah, our Celeste is like extremely wealthy, but like the problem is the other lanes lost. If you're putting a lot of emphasis on one singular character like a Celeste, and they're not able to, or the other lanes are not able to win, then picking the Celeste in general is just not a good idea. Because your other lanes have to win, because you're sacking your lane, because you're going egg, you're just giving up your lane essentially. I think there is some things to learn, especially when it comes to countering a character like Celeste. Like, we can see what we have. We have, like I said, the Phantom Strike and everything else, but also the counter utility in general. You see warp zones to, if you get balled by the Celeste, you warp out with the ball, so you're not, bringing all the extra damage to the rest of your team. You can see that. We have the Alk Fire Shred on the Sinclair, so he bunnies it, then uses Alk Fire. We're seeing a lot of Veilwalkers on our pick characters because it's just really good. But I'm actually surprised we went Veilwalker on Warden. And I see the vision because it gives you move speed, it gives you more HP, it gives you green spike, and it just gives you spirit power. So it's just generally good. It can help you roam around the map a lot, especially because of your 2. The shield, which gives you move speed once leveled up. We also have the fleet foot, so even more speed. So this character is flying around the map. We have more Shred with Hunter's Aura. We have Locket. I mean, Locket is just becoming standard on pretty much every single character again. Buying it on Rem is really good because if you get a Locket full stacked, you tag along to a target, you pop your Locket, it heals your teammates a lot more HP than the Rescue Beam or Health Nova on that singular target instead of spreading it around. It also scales really well with boons and everything like that. Overall, I mean, I think people are just putting too much emphasis on the Celeste character. But, yeah. Anyways, hopefully this video has helped you in any way, shape, or form and just give you a little bit more understanding or a little bit more details to understand what's going on. If you'd like this type of content, thought it was helpful, let me know in the comments down below. This has been Duck Films, and I hope you have a great and safe day, and I'll catch you in the next one.